He said, what?
There is no genocide happening in Gaza. Losing a war you chose to start is not a genocide. Losing civilians as a result of you starting a war by invading another country and then choosing to hide behind your unarmed civilians, right? Hide from the military you just attacked behind your unarmed civilians. It's not a genocide.
Destruction of the Warsaw Ghetto in 1943 by German troops was not a genocide. The Jews started it. Even though the Germans shoved 460,000 Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto, it's the Jews that caused the uprising that ultimately led to the ghetto's destruction. Here's a newspaper clipping from the time. The Jews are the ones who started the uprising. Just because you lose a war you started doesn't mean it's a genocide. Here's another newspaper clipping from the time when the 40,000 Jews left in Warsaw were liquidated. Why would you unalive 60 Germans if you know you're going to lose the war? I really don't care that the women and children that were wiped out were yelling, "Save us." The Jewish fighters were hiding in civilian infrastructure. They were using human shields. So can we stop pretending that the destruction of the Warsaw Ghetto was that bad? The Germans had to do it. The Jewish fighters had tunnels and were smuggling weapons underneath all of Warsaw. Jewish fighters used the tunnels for resistance and hiding. It's their fault they were underneath civilian infrastructure. They literally had bunkers and tunnels all underneath the civilian infrastructure. Like, why would they do that? Also, the only reason they were in the Warsaw Ghetto was because the Germans had no other option but to displace them there. Even though the Germans ultimately displaced the majority of Jews in Warsaw to concentration camps after, how bad was that? It doesn't sound much different than the concentrated zones in Gaza, which really aren't bad at all. And sure, the concentrated zones in Gaza don't have gas chambers, but they also don't have theaters or swimming pools. So we have to stop calling them Jewish resistance fighters because, like the Germans said, they were nothing more than bandits and theists. So sick of this propaganda, don't start an uprising you can't win and then call it a genocide.